Hi guys, it's Dakota. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new, welcome to my channel. It's been a couple weeks since I've done a video. I've been trying to alternate and do an every other week video because it is summer and I'm a summer girl. So I spend a lot of time outside in the gardens, flower gardens, in the woods. And work is very busy this time of year for me, and I'm busy with work plus classes and everything else that is going on. So I'm trying to do like an every other week video for right now, and I'm here to tell you that I really actually miss it. Um, so instead of just saying, okay, from now on, this is what it's going to be until fall, who knows? I might do a video next week. I just don't know. I sort of use this platform, YouTube, and doing these videos. I love doing them, by the way. You know, if someone gets something from the video, then that's fantastic. But I really wanted, I use the video as this platform, I should say, this platform kind of as an oral journaling process. I am not great at writing in a journal anymore. I used to be. I used to journal every day, thoughts, blah, 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 all of that. But I don't anymore. I haven't for years. I'm really bad about it. I think that you really should do it, but I just don't do it anymore. I don't have anything to say, if that makes sense, when it comes to journaling. Now, when I do, what I do is I have hundreds of these little notepads, and they are everywhere. I keep them in my purse, they're next to my bed, next to, in my chair watching TV, in my bedroom. They're everywhere, in the kitchen. I mean, they're just everywhere, because when I do have a download or a message or an aha or a synchronicity or something like that, I have to write it down right now or I will forget. I will forget. And then I can go back and I don't have to, bring out the journal and sit down with a fancy pen and do all the things. That's just not who I am anymore. I know it's terrible, but and I really think that you should, and I wish that I was more, but I'm just not. I don't know if it's because I feel like I'm too busy, because I think that's an excuse. But anyway, it's just not something that I feel called to do right now. And I have hundreds of these as well, that I keep uh, my notes in, whether it's like sometimes it's Spellwork, or it could be recipes or subjects for the video, just whatever. I keep the big ones too. And also, if that's sitting right there and I have a moment, I have an aha, then I'm immediately writing it down in that. Whatever is closest is what I write down. Pieces of scratch paper and all that. And there was a time that at the end of the day, I would take all those notes and consolidate them and put them in my journal. But then what I found was some are at work, some are in the car, some are over here, some are over there. It just got to be too much. So this is sort of a way for me to get out my thoughts about my practice, and how I do things. I was just telling my friend the other day that um, I'm really an out of the box worker, almost to the point that, I mean, I know that it's just some of the stuff is just like way out of the box. But my feeling regarding, and it's not my feeling, it's who I am. So I hope you understand that, and that I'm making my point clearly. Is that, I mean, it just is who I am. It's what I feel when I'm doing my work. Just because the book says this is what you should do and these are the ingredients, I think that's a fantastic idea. But that will spark something in my head that goes, I have something else in mind for that. I mean, there might be one or two things in there that sparks my interest, and I will do something different. I just, it's just my own way, and it's what works for me. So there you go. That's what works for me. And if you can get something from that to inspire you, or it triggers something in you to do something, similar or whatever, yay, you know, that's great. And if you don't like it, okay, that's fine, you know, because it's mine. So anyway, okay, so I wanted to do this video, which, as you saw, I'm not sure what my title is going to be yet. I'll do that when I get ready to do the download, but or the upload. Um, but I'm going to be working with pineapple ground cherries. Pineapple ground cherries. Never heard of it before. I'm going to tell you how it all happened. I'm a May planter. I plant usually, you know, sometime maybe the second week in May, something like that. And my flowers and my vegetables and all of that. Well, one of the things that I really love, I plant the little cherry tomatoes, the little small tomatoes, because I will pluck them right off the vine and wipe it off and just eat it. I know people are like, ew, but you know, look, I'm old school and that's how I was raised. Barefoot. We didn't have all the phobias about germs and all of that that we have today. And I'm still here, knock on wood, thank you to the gods. But yeah, I will just, you know, pick it and just give it a good wipe and pluck it in my mouth and eat it like an M&M. They're great. I don't plant big tomatoes because I don't really cook. I'm not a cook. I don't like to cook. And when I do cook, it's not great. I don't have that. That's not me, which is weird because I come from my family history. My mother loved to cook. She'll feed the whole neighborhood. She loved to cook. My aunt was a chef, and my grandmother, same way. She loved to cook, right? So everybody likes to cook except for me. I don't like it. And I'm such a picky eater, very, very picky eater. So, and I don't eat red meat. So there we go. Okay. I'm not saying I'm a vegetarian. I said I don't eat red meat. So anyway, I go to the garden center and I go over to the tomatoes, and there's like 3 or 4 rows of tomatoes, all different kinds, all different sizes. And I get to the tomatoes that said, you know, cherry tomatoes, but I'm looking for just your basic patio cherry tomato. I do have some seeds that I saved. I have a greenhouse here at the farm, and I have tried 3 different times with 3 different methods with 3 different kinds of soils to get my seeds to grow, and to no avail. That didn't happen. So, you know, I'm going to have a tomato. So I go over to where all the cherry tomatoes are, and I cannot find just your basic patio cherry tomato. And I'm getting kind of, you know, frustrated. And I walk by and I see this one plant with a little tag, and what I saw was cherry. That's what I saw, the word cherry. So I was like, okay, great, just get it. So I got it, put it in my cart, came home, and I'm doing a different, the last couple of years I've been working slowly on learning and studying and practicing permaculture and a little bit of sustainable, you know, planting and learning foraging, wild foraging and stuff like that. I'm not like heavy into it. I'm just, it's drawing me right now. So I'm in that stage where I'm curious and I'm learning. But what I've been doing is when I get a plant, whether it's a flower, and I transplant it into a pot, I'm no longer putting my plants, digging a hole and putting them in a hole. I'm not doing that anymore. So what I do is I put them in a pot. Or if they come in a nice pot, I just leave them in that pot. And I take the bottom of the pot off. And then I set the container right on top of the dirt. And I will take like organic soil and some compost and put around the pot then for a little bit of stability. But I no longer put holes in the earth because what I've learned is it has to do with the imbalancing of the nutrients and the system that's you know, within our soil, whether it's um, just the nutrients, and maybe you've got, you know, there's worms or there's whatever that is helping the soil, and now you're in there digging it and it's disruptive. So I don't do that anymore. And I have seen, I have started to see some of the benefits of that. So I get home with my, what I think is my cherry tomato. The leaves look just like a cherry tomato. And I cut the bottom off of the thing. It's just in one of those garden, you know, it's a small container. And the plant's about this big. But I know that the roots, you know, the tomato grows, it grows in size, but it's the roots. And I put a thing on it so that when it did grow, it would have some stability. So I put it on the dirt, you know, and whatever. And so it started to grow and it started to flower. And I was like, oh, good, you know, it's finally starting to flower. And then the next thing I noticed is that it's growing like these pods. And I'm like, what is that? What are these pods? You know, what is this? And so it looked like, I'm going to slaughter this word. I'm going to slaughter it. I don't know how to say it. Apologies. Tomatillo. They're used in like Italian dishes. They're used in salsa. You've seen them. They look like they have a little husk on it, and you take the husk off and they're delicious. I thought, oh my gosh, I got those. It's a tomato. And I thought, oh my gosh, you know, I got that. Well, that's fine. I'll use it for something. And so I waited and I waited and I waited, and I said, when are these things ripe? So I finally looked it up. Well, I pulled the tag, and then I look at the tag, and it says, I mean, this is the first time I'm looking at the tag. I don't even look at the tag when I think that it's a tomatillo or tillo. I just, so finally pulled the tag to see how long before I can pluck these, and it says pineapple ground cherry. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Never heard of it. So I look it up. It is part of the, it's part of the Solanaceae or Solanaceae, the nightshade family. Everything about the plant is poisonous. The roots, the leaves, the stems, everything about that plant is poisonous, except the cherry. And the cherry, they're literally, I'm going to show you. There it is. That is as big as they get. That's as big as they get. Now, you do not pluck it off the vine when it's green. You can see that. I pulled this one off the vine to show you. Go to my little stem. There you go. It's little. You know, it's this big. But no, it's not ripe. It's not ready. It'll grow the husk. So the tomato or the cherry is inside this pod. I can feel it. It's in there. You wait. It'll dry out. They dry. And they look like this. This one doesn't have a stem for me to hold. But anyway, it looks like this. It's a dry, hard husk. But you don't pull it off the vine. You wait until that falls onto the ground, and then you give it a day or two. Then you can take the husk off, and your cherry needs to be an orange color, not red like a tomato, but like a bright red cherry. It's an orangey yellow color, almost this color, a little bit darker orange than this. That may be ripe. I'm not going to taste it. But those are not poisonous. So I waited until it dropped, and I waited a couple of days, and I'm thinking in my head, this whole thing is toxic. This whole thing is poisonous. How is the fruit not poisonous? You know, it gets its nutrients from the plant itself. It just was like, what? I don't get it. But I thought, okay, well, I've read several books on it, and it said that it was not toxic, so I tried a little piece. I took one little bite of it. I didn't taste any pineapple, but I did taste, it is sweet, but it is tart, and it's kind of acidic. But I did not taste any pineapple, which was fine. But I thought, well, I will never use this. What will I use this for? I have no use for it whatsoever. And what a waste. And I was mad. Well, then I read a little bit further and it said, be sure once they drop to the ground, be sure that you pick them all up, or else they are spreaders. They are invasive, which meant to me that the root is also going to sprout somewhere and become invasive. So I don't want those in my garden. So I plucked it. Fortunately, it had only grown a little bit into the soil because it continues to grow in its container until there's no room, and then it spreads out. So I hope that I got it all, and now the whole thing is sitting in one of my giant cauldrons that's sitting in our little carport garage thing, and I put it in there so that when the pods fall, they'll just fall inside the cauldron, and then I'll have them all. But then I thought, I want to do something. If the whole plant is a part of the nightshade family, or it's a member of it, and it's toxic, it's poisonous, what could this witch do with that? Right? So I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I am actually going to put some herbs. I'm going to open up the pod and I'm going to stuff some herbs in there for protection, for warding, that kind of thing. And I'm going to put them on the property. And then I went, wait a minute, what? Didn't you just get that? It's going to spread unless you take the tomato out or the cherry. But once you open it up, I tried because I thought, well, I'll just do that. But the husk then just rips to pieces. So I didn't want to do that, right? I didn't want to do that. I'm not putting these in my yard. So I'm like, okay, what else can I do? So what I'm going to do is I have one open here. That's not the one. Where'd it go? Oh, maybe that is the one. Yeah. So I took the tomato out of this one. I keep calling it a tomato because I thought it was a cherry tomato. I took the cherry out of this one. I just popped it out, and it didn't rip the husk too bad. And let me put you down. And what I decided to do was I'm going to fill it with things that I could use for an offering. So if I am doing spell work, I will put it in, I will burn it. That's what I'm going to do with it. So I have my little altar cauldron, and I will drop it in there and I will burn it, or I will take it out to the back and put it in our big bonfire, or maybe I'm going to keep them. In other words, I'm going to keep them, but they're going to be kept in a jar. Hopefully that will work so that they don't spread anywhere. I thought it would be really cool you could even write a little intention on like a little piece of paper, like the Chinese, we call it the fortune cookies. Those, just a little strip of paper, write an intention on there, roll it up real small, stuff that in there. And then you can pop those in your fire at Samhain or whenever. So I really like that idea. So what I decided to do was I had some star anise that was almost, this is all that's left. It's one bud and a few little pieces that you can see here. So I took one of the little pieces like this, and I just sort of broke it up a little bit into tiny little pieces. And what I'm going to do is, because star anise has a lot of different magical properties. I mean, it can be used for protection. It can be used for peace. It can be used for love. It really has a lot of different properties. So it just really depends on what you want to use it for. So I thought that would be a good herb because it's just kind of like round, you know, round in general kind of herb. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it in the pod. And, you know, the pods are so small, so it really doesn't take a lot of stuff. I hope you can see that in there. You see it? Oh, God, it smells divine. Those of you who've never smelled star anise, oh, it just smells so good. Okay, I've got my beeswax candle. Hopefully, I'm going to get it lit here. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to drop some wax on the, oops, that one went right on the bowl. I'm going to drop some wax on the husk, making sure that I don't catch anything on fire. And then I'm going to squeeze it and seal it. So that's all I'm doing is just melting the wax onto the husk. And, oops, I barely caught that one on fire. All right. And yes, candle wax is hot. So I've just sealed it, and you can kind of see, you can see the dark in there. You can see where the star anise is inside the pod. And I just melted the wax, and you know, and just squished it and sealed it. So now it is sealed, and so now I can carry it in a mojo bag if I want. I can put it on my altar. I can give it as an offering. So many things that you can do with it, right? Instead of just wasting all that. I mean, it gave its life. It didn't know that I didn't know. It didn't know that I didn't know what it was. And it grew and it produced so many of these things. I mean, I just pulled these off on the way over here, and or not pulled it off. I pulled the green one off, but I had like four because I was going to do an elemental thing, but which I might do. But I know I said four and I showed you a bunch. That's because the green one doesn't count. And I was going to show you this, but it doesn't show up on the camera. One of the really cool things, there's some at the bottom of the cauldron that have dried and split open. See the little cherry in there? There it is. Yeah, but the shell becomes almost skeletal, I mean. They're really, really cool. So what do? I look it up and I do a lot of research. That's what I do. I spend the most of my days researching and studying and doing whatever. You've heard of Chinese lanterns, maybe. It's a plant. It's called a Chinese lantern, and it looks just like, just like this, only bigger. Well, back in the day, the European history thought that witches and fairies were the only ones that worked with tomatoes. I know, it's weird. That worked with tomatoes, and they called these sunberries. Look, everything synchronicity, I love this. So only witches and fairies worked with sunberries, and we are summer solstice today, And I'm working with sunberries, which is not what I guess, I don't know. That's what it said. It said that the Europeans thought that only witches and fairies worked with tomatoes and sunberries. And since the sunberry plant is poisonous, that they would give it to children, and that whole thing. And so they end up poisoning, the children. And which is kind of funny because we actually use it for salsa and, and, and tomato sauces and all kinds of things. But what I liked was I went, these kind of, and I said this before I even read that, these look like those Chinese lanterns. And then I read the thing about, witches and fairies, da da da. And then I went, you know what? Fairy lanterns. Fairy lanterns. Summer solstice. Sunberry. Fairy lanterns. I am going to have, we're having a ritual, our midsummer, summer solstice ritual tomorrow instead of today because my class meets on Wednesdays and today's Tuesday. We're going to have us some fairy lanterns tomorrow for ritual. So if my students are watching, don't listen to that part. Be surprised. I just thought it was really fun. I just thought it was really fun. I had something else. Well, I told you I had the protection thing that I was going to do, but I'm not going to plant that. I suppose if you take the the cherry out, it would be fine. It's not going to spread anywhere, but I'm not taking any chances. I don't want these all over my yard. And I'm just going to use them as offerings. There's one with see the little tomato in there? Cherry. Why do I keep saying that? The cherry in there? Yeah. So I'm going to finish doing these right here and get ready for tomorrow. We're going to have them for tomorrow's ritual. And in the meantime, that's it. Much love to you guys. Happy summer solstice, midsummer, Litha. Just enjoy this time of year. It doesn't last long. Everything is in bloom. Everything smells beautiful. I have a huge gardenia plant and oh my God, at night it smells so good. It smells good all the time. I'll pick one and put it in my car. When I get in my car because it's been so hot, oh, it just smells so good in there. Everything's pretty. The bees are out, the butterflies, the dragonflies, the bats, the hummers. I haven't had much luck with my hummingbirds this year, but everybody's out enjoying this time of year. So blessings to you. Get out there, enjoy it. Pineapple ground cherries, and I'm sure there's different flavors, but yeah, have fun with it. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Bye, guys.